Come on. Of course, Elden Ring was going to be a Game of the Year contender. It was an outstanding game. It basically was the epitome of what FromSoft had been building to all of these years. You know what I mean? It's the best of all worlds. It's open world traversal, which was new for them because you didn't have that level of traversal before. Insane amount of content. You know, probably their best graphics ever outside. Well, I guess Demon's Souls remake they didn't do. That's right. So probably their best graphics ever. Unique bosses, the biggest lore ever. You know what I mean? I could just sit here and I could tell you all the good things about the game, right? I already did. I already reviewed it formally. But, big but, and I cannot lie, you other reviewers like to deny the fact that this game reused the assets and then it get really boring near the end because it reused everything. And then, okay, I'm not going to do that. But basically, yeah, the game was great, but I think a lot of people sadly just got so obsessed with it that they put on blinders. And the blinders made them completely immune to any kind of criticism about the game when the game very validly has criticisms that should be thrown towards it. All right. Now, here's one that I can't validly answer yet because my playthrough's in progress. And as you know, I'm only about 11 hours in of a game that likely is going to be at least a 40-hour playthrough, if not longer. From all reports, people are saying it's really a 50 to 60-hour game. So I can't really say much about it yet. All I can tell you is what I think so far. Amazing graphics, improved combat, right? Good story so far, albeit the pacing's a little slow. And I do wish that the story maybe had a little bit faster pacing at this point. And a little bit of wonkiness, some of the stuff, but not anything that's game-breaking to the point where I'm, like, upset. It's still quite good. You know, like, everything I want in a game. A AAA game. So far. But we're only 11 hours in. So I can't make an ultimate judgment on a game I just started. Obviously, in about a month's time, when I'm probably beating it, I'll have a better idea and let you know what I think. But for now, I really think about Horizon Forbidden West. There's some things about the game that I absolutely positively agree are Game of the Year caliber. Horizon Forbidden West graphics are some of the best I've ever seen on a console. I don't think anyone can even deny that. You just look at how the game looks. It's beautiful. Okay? It's got a vibrant, awesomely varied open world. Okay? You go to one area, it's all ice. You go to another area, it's desert. You go to another area, it's beautiful beachfront. You go to another area, it's jungle. You know, there's a million different climates and variety of things in the game. The cultures in the game are incredibly well designed. Each group of settlers or people all have their own culture that they follow. And it's funny because they're well written. Like, there's one culture that's based solely off of tech symbols that they found in, like, office buildings. So one of the guys has a fucking Wi-Fi symbol on his chest. He thinks it's religious. No, that's wireless internet, but you don't know what that is, so you think it's something mystical. You see? So absolutely some of the stuff is really well written in that regard. But sadly, you know, Horizon Forbidden West is a case of a game that you can tell the scope is so big that certain teams did a great job and others just didn't do so well. So I'll give you an example. There really wasn't anyone who had a major creative direction in the game to really take all the pieces and tape them together into one coherent whole. And that really stands out when you start exploring the open world and you realize a lot of the content in the game is completely superfluous to anything important. You know, there's an entire side village that I went to. All right? And it has its own plot line and it has all this stuff going on in it. Right? You have to fight a bunch of unique enemies or whatever. There's a plot with a guy, you know, a village leader or whatever. You spend like a couple hours there doing all these missions and everything for it. You finish the plot line and you realize not only did that have nothing to do with the story of the game, it wasted your time. You didn't even get a reward for doing it that was worth doing. It was just a complete waste. And what you could tell is they wanted to have it as side content to say, hey, this game has side content. But there was no creative director who sat there and said, let's make all the side content mean something. Right? Case in point, one of the worst things they did in that game is they made entire things that used to be fun in the first game a complete waste of your time. The cauldrons, for example. In the first game, there was a series of dungeons where if you conquer this dungeon, it was all technology. You go in there, there's all traps and you know, robots and things to kill and puzzles to solve and a big boss fight at the end. And if you beat that dungeon, all right, usually you would get some really unique loot that was really worth it, and you would get the ability to hack a certain enemy type. So now when you left that dungeon, you could now actually hack an enemy in the wild, and it would help you as an ally. Some of them you could ride around. So it actually significantly improved your gameplay experience. You felt like, wow, I went and did a really difficult thing and I got rewarded for it. Okay? In Horizon Forbidden West, the Cauldrons return, but after you do the entire Cauldron dungeon, you literally get nothing. You don't get any unique armor. You don't get any big reward. You get the ability to hack an enemy, but then you have to go out and you have to gather insanely rare crafting resources. The only way you can get them is by repeatedly hunting down rare enemies over and over and over, and then hope for an RNG lucky drop of the item you're looking for. And then when you finally get several of them, then you can craft the ability to hack the robot. So it's kind of like, do the dungeon, overcome the giant hurdle. You did it. Oh, by the way, now here's 10 more grindy hours before you can get your reward. But it was really disappointing. There you go. Stray. I think all of you who follow me know my love for this game. Number one, because it stars a cute cat, and I have a cat as a pet, and so therefore already tugged at my heartstrings. The fact that the game was unique in the way that it played. You never really played as a cat like this before in any video game. It had really cool puzzles, interesting, ingenious, combat and stuff. It was really well done. Really, no, it wasn't about a platformer game with oh, you have to kill a bunch of enemies. It was just about survival and the unique ways to get around and solve puzzles and things. The visuals were absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't believe how good the game looked on PS5. I just couldn't. I was blown away. And a meaningful plot. At the end of the game, I couldn't believe it, but I actually cried. Yeah, I cried at the end of Stray, man. And I'm not ashamed to say that, because the game was so well written, it deserved that emotional response from me. Okay, to the point where I just cannot wait for a sequel. I think the game was amazingly made. Now, is it a Game of the Year contender? Yes. In comparison to some of these other games, should it win? I don't know. I don't know if you can take a game like Stray and hold it up to a titan like Elden Ring or a God of War. I don't know. Again, let me beat God of War, and once I've seen all these games at face value, and then I can compare them directly, let me do so. But I don't know. Even for me, loving Stray, it's kind of a hard sell for me to say that Stray's going to be Game of the Year.